Everyone to our study of the kingdom of God. We have a very interesting verse here today. It's from Matthew chapter 11 and verse 12. And from the days of John the Baptist to now, the kingdom of heaven suffered violence, and the violent take it by force. What is the meaning of this? Because this has been debated by scholars throughout the ages. I am going to give you what I feel is my interpretation. I am just a layman, but this is what I see, and I may be wrong. But hear me out, I ask. This statement was made by Jesus as he introduces the kingdom of God here on earth. In my other videos, you'll see that there is a way into that kingdom of God, and it's not through violence. It is through being born again into the kingdom of God. Now, when we are born into that kingdom of God, in a sense, we could seize that kingdom by violence from those whose hands that it may be resting in on earth. Really, all false religion and legalistic religion that has gotten away from faith from God is from the enemy, from Satan himself. And Jesus is going to give us an illustration here from Matthew 21, chapter 21. And we will see this very clearly. But basically, what has many churches done throughout the ages, including the rabbinical priesthood and other Jewish powerhouses of that day, they have excluded people from the kingdom of God based on their own thoughts and own opinions. They closed the door. We have heard of things. I remember back when I was a kid, if you got divorced in the Catholic Church, you were excommunicated from the church. You had no means of salvation. Now, of course, that is something the church has absolutely no control of. But you can see how men corrupt the things of God. Jesus now comes onto earth, dies and resurrects, so that we can have access to the kingdom of God, and no one, no pope or no one, can restrict you from heaven if you follow God's requirements and are born again into the kingdom of God. And here's the story Jesus gives in Matthew 21:33. And I'll read many verses from this. All right, he goes, here's another parable. There was a certain householder which planted a vineyard, and he hedged it in around about and digged a winepress in it. And he built a tower and let it out to the husband, and he went to a far country. So here he comes, he builds his place. He owns it, he prepares it, and he turns it over. And when the time of the fruit drew near, he sent his servants to the husbandmen that they may receive the fruits of it. So he wants the fruits from the vine. And the husbandman took his servants and beat one and killed another and stoned another. Again, he sent out other servants, more than the first, and they did to him the likewise. But last of all, he sent unto him his sons, saying, they will reverence my sons. This is an illustration, and we'll see as he ends this story, of God, Jesus, talking to the leadership of Israel, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, saying to them, you're these guys that are in care of God's kingdom. And this is what you're doing in God's kingdom. You believe it is your own. And 21:37, but last of all, he sent his son, saying, they will reverence my son. But in 21:30, it says, but when the husbandmen saw the son, they said among themselves, this is the heir, come to let's kill him, and let us seize him, so we can get the inheritance. And they caught him, and they cast him out of the vineyard and slew him. When the Lord of the vineyard cometh, What will he do to this husbandman? This is what Jesus asked the religious leaders. They say unto him, he will miserably destroy those wicked men, and will let them out of his vineyard unto other husbandmen, which shall render him the first fruits in their seasons. Then Jesus said in Matthew 21:42, did ye ever read the scriptures? The stone which the builders rejected became the head of the corner. This is the Lord's doing. It is marvelous in our eyes. Jesus just tells them here that he is the foundation stone of this kingdom of God, and he gave them the opportunity to accept the kingdom of God. And God, Jesus, would have brought it to earth. But they refused. So now Jesus is going to remove it by violence and allow any of his children, if they desire and fight for it, and that's what this is all about, this study of the kingdom of God, that we walk in that kingdom. So what does Jesus say? Therefore I say unto you, the kingdom of God shall be taken from you and given to nations, bringing forth the fruits thereof. By violence, the kingdom of God was held by men who were supposed to grow it and care for it. And now Jesus is going to take it away, and he has upon his resurrection from them. But we as Christians, if we are truly born again, are born anew into the kingdom of God, an unseen kingdom right now, a kingdom where you can walk. We're going to go into some other videos on the Beatitudes, because the Beatitudes make no sense in our world. But if you abide in the kingdom of God, they make a lot of sense. It was a restricted kingdom before, but God made whosoever will can come in. All they need to do is trust in Jesus, and then make a conscious effort every day to abide there. The priests tell it as a ransom, but in Isaiah 29:18 it says, and in that day shall the deaf hear the words of the book, and the eyes of the blind shall see in obscurity and out of darkness. The same message Jesus sent to John in Isaiah 52:7. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet that him that bringeth great tidings. Jesus is bringing tidings of deliverance. So in Matthew 21:38, they took the Son by violence. They tried to hold the kingdom by continued violence. But Jesus tore it from their hands and gave you the right to enter. Satan cannot hinder you. He can blind you to it, but he cannot hinder you from entering into the kingdom. And they, the leadership, is cast out. And anyone who is born again into the kingdom of God has access to come in and find pasture. So until next time, may Jesus increase as we decrease.